MJ on the journey back to Silicon Valley. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at a full stack application using React, Express, and a third-party API. So to take a look at the architecture of the app, so this is how it's going to look. So basically, we're going to have an Express backend that makes a call to a third-party API, gets a response back, and then shows it in a React front end. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The first thing you got to do, guys, is subscribe to the word association API. So this is going to be an application where the user enters a particular word and it gives him word associations that are closer to that word. And so the first thing you got to do, you got to subscribe to this API here. It's rapidapi.com. So once you subscribe, then you can just do the basic plan. You do have to put a credit card, but you're not going to get charged anything unless you go above 10,000 calls, which we're not going to do. So the second thing, we're going to first set up our backend with Express. Then we'll set up the React front end, okay? So go ahead and pull up your terminal. And then in terminal, let's do mkdir server, okay? We're gonna call it 1.0 because I already have created server, so let's just call it server 1.0. But you can call it server because you haven't created it yet. And let's go ahead and hit enter and then cd into server 1.0, and then we're going to initialize our backend. So let's do npm init y, and we'll go ahead and initialize our backend here. And then the next thing we want to do, we're going to create, let's open it up in VS Code. Okay, so it's opened up. Our application is empty right now. It just has the package.json, which we just have initialized. So let's go ahead and just minimize this. The next step is to install Express, okay? So let's do npm install Express. And this will go ahead and install our backend. If you're not familiar with what Express is, it's a Node library that enables you to easily set up servers. This may take a little bit of time depending on the speed of your computer. And then the next thing we want to do, we want to install UniRest. And that will enable us to communicate with the backend API. So the next thing, let's do npm install UniRest. You can install set up your React front end first, but in some cases it's preferable to set up the back end, then set up your React front end as the client. The next thing we want to do, we're going to install Nodemon, and this is going to make our life a lot easier in terms of refreshing the server and keep track of changes that are happening. So go ahead and do npm install -g Nodemon, and -g is for global. So it's going to install it globally in our project. At this particular point, you should have everything set up, installed to start working on the back end. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is, okay, let's open up our VS Code. Okay, so in here, let's go over the files that we have. So basically you have node modules. You don't have to worry about these. This is like everything that needs to be installed in the backend. Then you have the package.json. So in the package.json, you have here, main is index.js, that's the main entry point of the app. So we need to create this file here, okay? So we're gonna do index.js. And then in this file here, we're gonna go ahead and initialize a server. I'm gonna pick up a snippet of code here and then explain it. Index.js, okay. Okay, so we're creating a variable called express, and we're requiring express. If you're not familiar with using require, this is how you write backend JavaScript. So we are requiring express, which is the package that we installed, and then we're creating an app that's an express app. This is how you do it. So it's a variable that that initializes express, and then this is the port. This is the port that our server will be running on. And we're gonna do initially 3001. The reason we're doing this, usually it's running on 3000, but our React front end is gonna be running on 3000. So we're doing 3001 so that the back end runs on 3001 and then the front end runs on 3000, okay? All right, the next thing we're gonna do is, let's see if this is working. So if a user hits this route, which is the main route, once they hit 3001, then they will see what up SF, okay? And then down here, we're gonna check, we're gonna put a listener for the app to see if it's working, okay? So here what we're doing, we're saying listen to the port, so listen at 3001. You know what, guys, let's initially do 3000, okay? And then we'll change it to 3001, okay? Let's just initially do 3000. So we're saying here, listen to the port. And once we listen to the port, we're gonna console.log. If the app is working, we're gonna console.log app listening at port 3000, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and save our file, pull up our terminal. And then let's do Nodemon, okay? Hold on, I have to kill my 3000 because I'm running something on it. Hold on. Okay, that's good. And then here, so to start up our app, just do Nodemon. No, actually Nodemon with an N. And then if everything is working, okay, great. So we see it. App is listening at port 3000, okay? So things are looking good. Let's pull up our port. And here it is, guys. So we can see what up SF, okay? which is what we have over here. So if a user hits the main route, which is local 3000, this is what they're gonna see, okay? So our backend is working so far, all right? So the next thing we wanna do, guys, is, okay, first let's change our port to 3001. And then let's pull it up again. And now let's do 3001. Okay, so our backend is working. So our backend is being served on port 3001. Okay, the next thing we want to do, we're going to write some code to communicate with the API. Okay, so let's do that. All right. Okay, guys, so next let's talk a little bit about the API that we are using actually. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, you need to go here. So go to Rapid API and subscribe to the word association API. And once you do, it's going to give you the code here that you need to write. Two very important things here, guys, is okay, so two really important things is your API key and then the API host. Okay, so you have to have both of these pieces of information. It's really important. Okay, now here it will give you the code that you need, and since we're using Node, it gives you the code in different languages, but since we're using Node right now, that's the code that we're actually interested in. Okay, and it gives you the code for GET requests and also for POST requests. Okay, what we're gonna do, we're doing a GET request. Okay, so this is the code over here. And that's what we're going to do next. So let's go to our VS Code here. And then we're going to do app.get. And the route that we're going to be hitting, here we're hitting the main route. But over here, we want to hit this route right here. Okay? The API route, which is going to be here, API word associations, and then the word that we are using. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So it's going to be API slash associations slash whatever the word that we're going to be using. Okay, and this terminology here expresses whatever word that we use. So if a user goes to localhost 3001 slash API slash association slash whatever word that they will pick, that will be the route that that we're gonna request from the API. And then the second argument here is a request and a response. And then in here, we're gonna write our request in a uni-rest form. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is okay, so we're creating a request. Let's make this a bit bigger. Okay, so this is the request, guys. So uni-rest, it's a GET request, and it's making a request to this particular URL in our Rapid API association endpoint. Okay, so we're making a GET request to this URL. Okay, next we're gonna write our query for the request. Okay, so the entry point will be that word that we entered. Okay, so this is the syntax here. So it's entry request dot parameters dot word. Okay, and that's how we tell the API that this is the entry or this is the word that we want to request from you. Okay, next we're gonna set our headers. And this is really important, and this is where you need your API key as well as the API host, okay? So this is how we do it. Request.headers, and then in here we put uh, the API host, which you can get this information from your Rapid API here once you subscribe, okay? It's gonna be right here. The host, yeah, the host is gonna be down here, okay? Okay, so this is going to be different for each person. So once you subscribe, you would have the right information. So get that information from here, okay? And that is your host. And next, you want to have your API key, which will also be different for each person. So you get also that information from here, okay? So that's what you put in your request headers. And then for the use query string, it's always true, okay? All right, so the next thing we want to do, we want to handle the response from the API. Okay? Oh, we need an R here. Okay, so we do request.end, and then in here we have a callback function that accesses the response, whatever we get back from the API. Here we're gonna check for errors. So if there's a error in the response, we're gonna throw a new error with whatever that error is, okay? And then we're gonna take the response and turn it into JSON. And then we're gonna access the body, the associations, and the score, and then we're gonna enter it in these curly braces here. So every word is associated with a particular score. We're going to see later on how that's useful. So the score determines how close that word, how closely associated that word is with the word that we entered. Okay? So it starts from the word that is the most closely associated to the word that is the farthest from it, okay? And that's determined by the score. So we're gonna access the response, turn it into JSON, and then put those words all in curly braces here, okay? All right, so things should be good so far. Okay, so if we save this, we should see something running in our backend. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Okay. So everything here, let's pull up our terminal. Okay, it should be good. Currently, okay, so currently if we pull up our backend, so it's running what up SF because we're hitting this route, which is the main route. Now, let's say we do /API. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's say we hit this route, 3001 /API /associations /software. Now, if we refresh this, we should see words that are associated with software. So let's go ahead and try that. Hold on. Let's do API /associations /software. and UniRest is not defined. Okay. Oh, I think we did not require UniRest. Yeah, we did not. Okay, so we need to require UniRest in order for this to work, because UniRest is how we communicate with our API. Okay, so here, let's go ahead and require UniRest, and now let's refresh, and let's see here. Okay, great, guys, you see? Now, it pulls all the words that are associated with software, okay? So it's working great. So we're calling the API at this route, and it's spitting back words that are associated with software. And as you can see, they are all in curly braces, just like we have here in the code down here. You see it? So we put them in curly braces along with the scores, okay? And as you can see here, each word is associated with a score. And the score determines how closely associated that word is. As you can see here, the score starts at 87, then 81, then 80. So it's descending, okay? All right, so our backend is set up properly. Now, the next thing we want to do, hold on, is, let's go right here. Hold on. Okay, so I think at this point we should be setting up our React front end, right? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and set up our front end. Okay, we can just open up another terminal here. Since this one is running our server, we need to open up a new terminal. Let's go ahead and open it in VS Code. We're gonna do new terminal. Let's get rid of this here. I don't want to update. Go ahead and set up our React front end right now. Okay, so we're gonna do npm initialize React app client. Okay, and this is gonna be our front end. No, npm right here. And let's go ahead and hit enter, and this will go ahead and set up our React application. And this is how you initialize a React application. Or you can do create React app and then name it whatever you want. But the convention is to name it client, since that's going to be our front-end client. Now, this may take a few minutes. React takes some time to install, depending on the speed of your computer as well. So if you've set up your React application properly, you should see this right here, okay? So let's cd into client, and then let's start our app. You can do yarn start, or you can do npm start. Okay, and let's see if our React application is working. Now, once we set up our React application, then whatever response that we get back from the API, we will actually be able to show it on the screen. And the React front end is going to be serving it instead of just our server, okay? So our React front end is up. I went ahead and did some cleanup to the app.js file and just put an H1 here that says front end is up. And let's check it here. So here it is. It is working. So this is our front end, and then the back end is running on 3001. Front end is running on 3000. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our from React. And useState is a hook that will enable us to keep track of our state. We're going to need to keep track of two things here. We're going to need to keep track of words and then also of associations. So I'm going to drop a snippet of code here. I'll explain it. Okay, so we want to keep track of what word are we entering into the application, or what word the user is entering into the application. So this is a hook here that will enable us to do that. So we're keeping track of word, and also we have the ability to set word. And initially, we're initializing it to the word software. And then here, we will keep track of our associations, and we will be able to also set our associations, and we're initializing it to null. Next thing we want to do, guys, is create a associations function. And this is going to be the function that does the API call in order for us to get the word associations from the third-party API. And here we're going to do a arrow function. And in here, we're going to do a fetch method. Hold on here, undo. Okay, so what we're doing here, we're calling this particular end route. So from here, we're going to call our backend. So this is the URL plus the word that we're entering. So we will call the backend, and then our express backend will call the API. And once we get the result, we're going to turn it into JSON. Once we turn it into JSON, then we will access the body, and we will set our associations to that body right here. Okay? So this is the function that will be responsible to make that call for us. Okay, so over here, instead of saying front end is up, let's set up how our front end would look, and let's just put here word associations app. Under here, we want an input, and this is how we will capture the input of the user. What word do they want associations for? And our input will have a value of word, which we will get from our state, and it's going to have an onChange. The onChange is going to take our event, and then it will set our word to the word that we have entered. Okay, so we're going to do e.target.value, and then under our input we want a button, and our button will say find associations. And once we click our button, we want to trigger an onClick, and then our onClick will have our get associations function. And let's go ahead and save this, see how it looks. Okay, so we have our title, we have our input, we can enter our word, and then we have our button that's going to trigger the get associations function that's going to call our backend, which our backend will call the API. Okay? We're going to write logic that's going to interact with the API. Okay? So we're going to check if there are associations. Okay, so if there are, we're going to return, and in here, we're just going to check if the, I'm going to do object.keys associations dot length, and we're going to check if it is equal to 0. So if it is equal to 0, it means there are no results. So we're going to just return a paragraph that says no results. And if there are results, right? And then, so inside the div, we're going to do object dot entries. What we want to do here, guys, is map over the entries. So the argument here is going to be associations, and then we're going to do dot map. And then in here, we're going to map over each array that has association and a score. And then once we do that, we're going to return a span element. And inside that span element, we're going to have our association. And then under it, we're just going to do a little space, right? And okay, this should be fine. The other thing that's going on here, guys, let's go ahead and save. Okay, so it's fine down here. The other thing that's going on, earlier we've changed our proxy to 3001 in the JSON file, but we had it down here, right, under development. But for some reason, there was an error that was saying the JSON that was coming back, it was actually coming back as HTML. I went around the net and tried to look, this is what the error looked like, okay? So it was syntax, unexpected token in JSON at position 0. Okay, so apparently the response that was coming back was HTML. I couldn't really find any fix for it, but when I moved the proxy just up here under scripts, it worked, okay? So if you're getting this error here that you're looking at, move the proxy just under scripts and it should work. At least it worked for me, but I couldn't find any other fix, okay? So let's go ahead and look at our app now. Refresh and find associations. Okay, so it's given us all the words that are associated here with software, okay? So the app is working fine. However, it doesn't look too good. So we're going to add in some CSS. So back here, go into app.css. Initially, you're going to have a CSS here that comes with the React application. I went ahead and just took out everything, and I'm going to put in some CSS. We're not going to worry about the CSS here because that's not the purpose of this particular tutorial. However, I'm going to have this in a GitHub, so you don't have to worry about it. You can just grab the CSS and put it here. Now here it targets the app as app with a not a capital letter. I can't think of the other one. But here we have, usually it's going to have a capital letter here that comes with React. So just turn it into lowercase. Yeah, lowercase and uppercase basically. Okay, and then this is the CSS. Let's go ahead and save. And then save our app.js, and our app should look better now. Okay, there it is, guys. Okay, so the app looks much better. So let's try a different word, for example, right? That's software. Let's put in, I don't know, city. And then find associations. And here it is, guys. So it gives us, there's a weird thing here. Hold on, let's see. Okay, there's a nice little trick here that we can put with span to make the style look nicer, okay? So we're gonna do this, guys, here. So this is to make the most closely associated word bigger, and then the other words that follow smaller, just to make it aesthetically look better. So I'm gonna grab this snippet of code here is going to change the font size as it goes, okay? Copy, font size. Okay, so this changed the font size using mat.pow. You guys can look this up. So basically it takes the base component and then takes it to the power of the second argument, okay? The base, I'm sorry, not the base component, the base argument, and makes it to the power of the second argument. So you can just use this trick here, and if we do that, our app is going to look there. See it? Here it is. So metropolitan is the most closely associated word with city, and then if we scroll down here, municipality is the farthest from it. So it will have a descending font size to just make things look a little bit better. Okay, guys? Okay, so let's go ahead and try a different word. Let's try thinking, okay? And let's hit find associations. And here it is, guys. So the most closely associated word is cognitive, and then the farthest word is perceptual. And as you can see, it has a so that's it, guys. The application is ready. So we've set up an express backend that talks to a third-party API. It pulls associations from it of a particular word that we have entered, and then it shows it using a React front end. I hope that you really enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, hit the thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And please consider supporting the journey with a cup of coffee. There's a link on how to do that in the video. And that is it for today. Until next time, this is MJ on the journey back to Silicon Valley.